Welcome to What's New. Tonight we have a very special guest. He's going to tell us a few things about our lovely town and our hospital. And we have ours is going to lead and introduce our guest.
Okay, we have Mr. Tom Kahn, and he's going to give us some updates on what they're doing at the hospital and other information.
Some general stuff, right?
General stuff about the hospital.
First off,
general things about the hospital,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, thank you. Well, thank you for inviting me, and
Well, we're happy you came.
thanks. I think I was here, maybe 6 months ago?
Something like that, right.
Just kind of taking you through the plans.
Before the rain all started.
Yeah. And it was a wet fall and winter, wasn't it?
It
And
certainly was.
so we have finally got through all that, and if you've been by the hospital, it's now starting to take shape. And it seems like for months they were just playing in the dirt, getting all the infrastructure in place, and now they've come up with steel. And so you do kind of get a feeling of the size of this building. And I think many in the community know about Bloomsdale Medical Center, which we built back in 2012. Actually, each floor of this new building would equal one Bloomsdale Medical Center. So that's the size of this expansion.
Goodness.
And I think what people are really going to see is it's really going to transform the way we do work at the hospital, with our med-surg unit being right next to the emergency department. And I think I probably shared with you right now, as you know, if you're admitted through the emergency department, you have to go the entire length of the hospital through our front lobby area, which is not very private. And we've always been very sensitive to that and trying to make that experience a good one. This way, you literally will go right across the hall. So it's going to make things so much easier. So with the steel coming up now, you do kind of get a footprint of what the building's going to look like. What you'll start to see probably right after Labor Day is the floors. They will pour concrete on each of the floors, and then they'll start encasing the outside. So once we get completely under roof, get the sides on, it can rain all at once.
Yes, exactly.
It won't delay us.
But I think it's supposed to snow instead in November,
Well,
so
let it snow.
it'll still be wet.
But
Happy voice.
yeah, the only through all this, the time frame that they gave us in the beginning, that they thought we would be able to move in sometime in February, has now they're saying maybe the end of February. So we really haven't lost much time.
That's only a month.
In talking with Brad Arnold at the community center, and what they went through with the weather, with the new water park, we can identify with some of those in the very beginning. But I think what people will really see pretty quickly is the sides being put on, and then you'll really get a feel for how large this building will be. And if you've been back there, you've also noticed that we've been able to clean up the old loading dock, the old power plant that was back there. They really weren't our best look.
Yeah, you'd rather somebody didn't come in the back door.
And poor Dr. Charlo, when we moved his office over, his patients unfortunately had to see that every time they came in. So this is going to really make the backside really look so much better. Mm-hmm. And just to refresh your memory, this med-surg unit, we are going to have 21 rooms that will be totally dedicated for patient rooms. There'll be another 2 rooms that can be used for patient rooms, for observation, for sleep studies. They give us, the ability to expand some of those services. There'll be a lot more room for some of the support for the med-surg. Being an old hospital built back in 1969, they didn't have to, make room for certain pieces of equipment and staffing that you need.
That you have now.
Yeah, so this really kind of allows us to have the space for staff to support med-surg unit. Our respiratory therapy will move over there, so even outpatient services that require a respiratory therapist, they will be located in this new expansion. Our inpatient physical therapy and occupational therapy and speech to service med-surg will be moved there.
Good.
And then underneath is going to be our physician clinic. So we'll actually have all of our adult medicine physicians. That's our internal medicine. So Dr. O'Donnell, Dr. Raju, Dr. Cadiz, our new doctor, Erica Lung, will be moving over along with Dr. Bosner, our cardiologist. So these physicians are primarily physicians that take care of older people.
Yes.
So their patients can be admitted right above. If their patients need any kind of imaging study or lab work, it's right there. So it's really going to be more convenient for some of our older patients, for some of the patients that have one of those physicians that need any kind of additional testing. But more importantly, they can come up and see their patients if they have any patient admitted onto the floor. So we're pretty excited about that. The new loading dock is in operation, and today they were finishing up some block work on our infectious waste room. So that's what you're seeing. If you're seeing some brick and block work done in the back corner of, I guess, where the generators are next to the loading dock, that's what that room will be.
Southern end of it.
Yeah, on the southern end there. So this year, and I think I was probably here before we kind of talked about our 50th anniversary at the hospital. So as you know, the hospital was built in 1969, opened and we celebrated 50 years of service to St. Genevieve. And I think if you look back over those 50 years, the hospital we've had over 70,000 inpatients, patient admitted to the hospital over that.
A little it is. It's
Yeah.
a small hospital
Yeah.
compared to just a few miles away. And it's
And
wonderful.
you think about those would have been 70,000 people that needed inpatient stay in a hospital that would have had to go somewhere else. We delivered over 5,000 babies.
Oh, that seems impossible.
And right now we're doing a baby boom. So
Sure are.
if you look at the paper, and we were talking about it right before we went on air, about even my daughter was one of those.
Winter.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. But we've been growing births every year, and so.
And I think the popularity of the hospitals for the mothers is probably the water births.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think I hear that comment a lot because too often you go to a bigger facility, the doctors really kind of dictate what they tell mom they're going to do. And I think the beauty of the physicians that we have and our staff is we want the moms to kind of have that birthing experience that they want, somewhat, a total natural childbirth experience. As you mentioned, water birth has been very popular. Some want to plan when that baby's born, you still have some of that. But all in all, I think that's a special time.
Do we allow midwives?
We do. Kelly Donzie, you may know Kelly Donzie.
Say Kelly's a
She's a
midwife.
midwife.
Yeah.
And,
Well, I think I told you at that time, my granddaughter had she had a midwife, and she had looked into water births, and if she couldn't found something to suit her, and she's very picky, in St. Louis, she was coming to St. Jim.
Sure.
She
Sure.
said we had the highest rating of any that she'd seen to that point.
Yeah.
Well, she had it in St. Louis, I believe.
Our patient satisfaction scores on OB are very, very high. We've been ranked in the top 90th percentile pretty consistently on
That's
OB.
great.
That team down there does an outstanding job. And it shows from the numbers, people, we know all healthcare decisions are made by women anyway. And when you think about who does take, calls the doctors for the kids, makes the appointments, who helps grandma get to their doctor, who talks about healthcare, who at the beauty shop, at church, at the Little League, women do talk about the care that they receive, and particularly in OB, you know, word of mouth is just such a popular way that the word gets out. And some of our fastest growing zip codes for OB is coming from Farmington and Fredericktown and Festus. You know, people that had a friend, maybe they didn't get what they wanted in a bigger facility, came down here to our facility, they told a friend, who tells a friend, and pretty soon, you know, you have, and with our Bloomsdale location, you know, it does kind of open itself up to attracting people, easy to get to. Not to take anything away from, you know, St. John clinics, but, you know, it is easy to get to. And I think it's pretty easy to pop in St. John just about from anywhere. And the drive is pretty doggone nice. So OB is, you know, has been, you know, a continuing thing for us. You know, it's what's interesting to think back over the 50 years, we've only had 3 board presidents at the hospital. And our current board president, Rod Scher, 34 of the 50 years he's served on that board. And he actually has been the board chair for 32 of those years. So when you think about consistency, and, you know, even in my case, you know, there's been 6 other CEOs, administrators, whatever you want to call us.
That's not many.
Not very many over 50 years. So we've had kind of long-term. I'm in my 13th year, and I've been very blessed to work with a board that has been there since the beginning. And there's a lot you can do when, you know, everybody knows about, you know, your goals, your missions, your thoughts, your ideas. And, you know, I'm, you know, pretty pleased over the last 13 years that I've been there that we've made some really good things happen at the hospital.
Yes.
You know, starting with the emergency department, that expansion, we went to private rooms. Of course, the Bloomsdale location was just really a great addition.
What all is in the Bloomsdale? Is that just offices?
No, it's primarily, it's actually 2 clinics in one if you really look at Bloomsdale, and that's really the way we designed it. So the part of the building you see from 55 is the entrance to the women's health program there. And we wanted a women's health, the vision, if you will, for women's health was to have a clinic that was just for women. You know, if you see a male there, they're probably out of place. You know, when I walk in,
Your hubby twiddling their thumbs.
that's probably what it is. And you know, I kind of feel like a fish out of the water when I go out to visit, particularly on that side. But it was kind of made to be a comprehensive women's center that, you know, you could go there and see, you know, primary care, OBGYN or nurse practitioner, in this case, Mary Crecilius. We were very blessed to get Dr. Terry Cavens, our breast surgeon, and those 2 have just been a very strong team out there at Bloomsdale. But you can go in there and get your mammogram, your bone density study, ultrasound, stereotactic breast biopsy. You can do it all at one time and in one place. And so that's one part of the building. And then the other part of the building was designed to be for primary care, whether it be that you have an appointment to see a doctor, or whether you just wake up and maybe you can't get an appointment right away, and you just want to go in and see somebody really quick. And we purposely set it up as a walk-in clinic because most people's insurance sometimes covers that totally. Sometimes it has a copay of maybe $20. And we didn't want to call it urgent care because urgent care, most insurance plans, it might cost you $75 or $100 on a copay. And we really wanted to make it affordable. So we didn't really want to go down that, but it's really like an urgent care center. We have x-ray capability. We have some great nurse practitioner
I didn't
physicians.
realize there was that much in there.
Yeah.
I go to one of the Dr. Fan. I go to him up.
Yeah. Well, then upstairs, you know, downstairs is where we have our walk-in clinic. And then upstairs, we have the primary care group of Dr. Bird and Dr. Torres, who joined us last year, Dr. Brockman, a pediatrician, Dr. Raghavan, who came back to this community. He was here
Yes, he was. I
Several
remember.
years ago.
and then left before I got here, and he and I ran into one another, and when he told me he used to work here, and said, well, you need to come back. And eventually he did.
Good.
And then we have some specialists that spend some time, and actually one of the newest groups that's out at Bloomsdale is an allergist group that has come in, and they're seeing patients out in Bloomsdale. So Dr. Boatwright, I think many may remember Dr. Boatwright. He retired, and he was coming over from Farmington, and we were fortunate enough to tap into a new allergy group out of St. Louis, and they're coming down. And one of the physicians, and I'm going to forget his name, but he went to school at St. John because his dad was a doctor here long ago, and we had to go and ask Dr. Raju if he remembered him, and Dr. Raju said, yeah, I do remember him being here. So that was probably 30 plus years ago. But here now, he said his dad was a doctor here. He actually went to high school here, and then they moved away, and now he's coming back and doing some allergy work at the clinic up there.
That's good to hear, because I'm loaded with allergies.
Yeah, and this time of year, and it seems like the
Oh,
older I get,
gosh.
the worse they get, and I don't run into somebody that's saying I'm my sinuses are killing me. My allergies are just
Dr.
flaring.
DeGenova used to say, you live by the Missouri or Mississippi, you're bound to have
Yeah,
allergies.
absolutely, absolutely. And we one thing I probably long time history with our community. Dr. Lou Quiddy, his daughter Marianne McCullen just retired, and we had a celebration for her, and actually Sharon Grass also retired. We had a nice celebration for them, but it was you think back about Dr. Lou Quiddy and then his daughter. They've had a kind of a footprint on medical care in our community ever since, well, long before the hospital even opened.
Right.
And Dr. Lou Quiddy and DeGenova, two of those names, and the family still is around. They really kind of set the course, for the new hospital. And when you think about 50 years ago, and even years before that, the group of people that got together, and Mr. Groby and then the two doctors, and helped make this hospital happen. And I'd like to think that they, if they would look at what we've been doing, would smile and think, from that spark of St. John should have a hospital. They'd be proud of what we've been trying to do to make it a better place and attract some great physicians. And
I remember when Mary Ann finished her medical, thought she came down and was in the office there, and Dr. Look what he said. He was so proud. My daughter, she just got her medical degree. You have to meet her, so he went and got her and brought her in there. I had knew her, but he wanted me to talk to her.
Dr. Liquidi, and I would have loved to have
He was
been able to
very
do that.
kind man.
Yeah. I've heard just wonderful stories about
Him
him.
and Dr. DeGenova both. I went to Dr. DeGenova, I think, from the time I was a junior in high school for volleyball checkup until he retired.
Yeah.
Then I started going to Sharon when she came of age.
Yeah, yeah.
And now she's gone, so I don't know who I'm going to go to.
Well, I
Have to
first-
find a different one. Yeah.
I first came in 2012. I first moved here, and I went over to the senior center, the nutrition center. I said, I've got to get a doctor in town, First name come up was Mary Ann. So,
Yeah, it's very bittersweet. I think we all work to one day retire, And I think it's one of the toughest conversations because you really don't want them to leave. And in many cases, they don't really want to because they've
Yeah.
developed such a relationship with patients and they make so many friends. And it's hard to finally say, yeah, I need to do
Now's the
this.
time.
Yeah, and so I know it was bittersweet for her, but we were able to give both Marianne and Sharon a book of pictures that, we had taken over the
Yes, I
years.
saw
Oh, how neat.
And we circulated it throughout the hospital, and our staff wrote notes
Oh, how neat.
to them. And actually, Marianne, and I didn't get to see her, but she dropped off some stuff for me that I guess was her father's that she found, and she wanted me to have it for the hospital,
Right.
maybe. But she had commented to my administrative assistant how much she really enjoyed the little get-together we had for her with that book and the many people that signed it, because some great memories.
At the time,
Right.
she was, we were talking there, and she was just, tickled to death. She said, look at that.
Yeah, special lady. She is missed. And, we've been real proud of the fact that the hospital has, attracted people that have grown up in our community, that have come back and are now practicing. With that end, Missy Nagger, and let's see, what is Missy's maiden name? Greenwood. She was Missy Greenwood. I remember when I first came, I was sitting on a foundation that awarded a scholarship to a young St. Genevieve High School senior, Missy Greenwood.
Yeah, it was her. Oh, my goodness.
And so that name kind of stuck in there, and now, Missy came back to us as a nurse and then went on to get her nurse practitioner, and it's Missy that, many of the people that went to see Marianne are moving over to, along with Dr. Lung, as a transition. So it's kind of like one local person to another local person.
Yes.
And we've got several other at the hospital that it's been kind of rewarding to see young high school students go into nursing and then come back and be nurses back in their own community.
There's a lot of them.
There
I'm a
is.
nurse practitioner, because my granddaughter's in St. Louis, and she was trying to find a pediatrician, and she's not having any luck at all because there's so many doing the nurse practitioner now.
Yeah. Well, and we've, that's been one of the focuses that we've had in working with the local school district, both the schools in town, where we have really tried to provide opportunities for high school kids to come and learn about healthcare. We do a health discovery day. We do some shadowing. There's a program that we do over the summer where they actually come in and are able to, I wouldn't call it work, but to shadow in a department. And it gives them a look at healthcare. So not every healthcare job is a nurse. Not every
Right.
You
healthcare
bet.
job requires dealing with blood.
Right.
We have a lot of positions that, you can go to school, or in some cases, come and work and we'll train you. So we've had a big initiative of growing our own, so to speak. And so our hope is that some of these kids want to go into the healthcare field. And, there's a few of us at the hospital that are getting older, and someday we'll be retiring. So, it's getting to where we can replace, kids, our positions with, many of these, hopefully, I say kids, but young adults that want to come back and be part of healthcare. And when the hospital opened 50 years ago, it opened with 43 employees. Today, we employ 429
I know, isn't that
employees.
amazing?
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know there was that many of them.
And there's so many of them that were there 50 years, too.
We do have several
Right.
that have been there 50 years since the day it
We've
opened.
had some retirements recently.
And we've had, we have many employees that have 45 years, 43, 40 years. I mean, long-term employees. And, you know, someday we'll have to face them retiring, but I hope they decide to stay a long time.
Stay young and healthy in their older age.
But it kind of gives you an idea of the kind of the health of the hospital. We're the second largest employer behind Mississippi Lime. We were looking at the fact we do 67,000 clinic visits in our clinics that we operate.
Oh my
But
goodness.
what's an interesting fact, though, is 19,000 of those clinic visits, and this is in 1 year, over 67,000 clinic visits this past year. Over 19,000 of those visits came from people outside of our county. So, you know, St. John is taking on, and I guess you could say, is part of medical tourism.
Right.
It's a term you probably have heard, and you know, you might see it in bigger cities like St. Louis. You know, Barnes Jewish, the Big Mercies. You know, people come over from Illinois. People come from all over the state, and you know, when people come in for health care, you know, they probably come with family members. They get gas. They stop and eat. And when you think about 19,000 people coming into St. Genevieve on an annual basis, I'd like to believe that many of those people are coming downtown, seeing St. Genevieve, experiencing, you know, our hospitality, some of our unique shops, unique restaurants, unique community. And they see it as a tourist from healthcare, but hopefully maybe come back and bring family and come to some of our events that happen throughout the year. And
Right.
so it just helps become an economic engine. And our payroll this last year went over $21 million.
Isn't that
I
amazing?
didn't know there was that much money in the world.
It's a pretty big operation. And we're an independent hospital, so you know, we have to do the things that hopefully attract people that want to come and have their care with us. And we work hard every day to earn the trust of people because you have so many options for health care.
That's a question. The hospital is not owned by individuals. It's a St. Genevieve tax.
It's
our
owned by
taxes help them.
owned by the county. We are owned by the county.
Okay.
So we have a county elected board. We do receive some tax dollars for maintenance, but our maintenance, it costs probably 3, 4, 5 times what we get in tax to maintain our
So you
facility.
really don't get much help from the county or such.
No, but we're grateful for that, and we want to
Yeah.
be good stewards of that, and, you know, we have
It's
not
there if
had
we
to
need it.
ask for any more.
Uh-huh.
So, unlike some of the big hospitals, or even hospitals that are owned by systems, you know, their dollars go to the system or go out of state. You know, what people need to know, everything that happens in St. John stays in St. John. Everything we do is at the benefit of making our place a little bit better, making it something that hopefully the community can be proud of, that they want to tell their friends and their kids. And I truly believe that healthcare delivered in a smaller hospital is more personal. The quality, if you look at studies, they'll tell you the quality in a smaller hospital is better, because you're not a number. You know your doctor. You know that if, sometimes when you go into a bigger facility, there might be a teaching school. So you don't really know who the real doctor is. And I don't mean that in a mean way,
No.
or but the point I'm making in St. John, you know that doctor that's going in with you in surgery is who is going to be doing the surgery. You know that doctor you're going to see is going to get your test results, knows you as a patient, knows what they need to do, understands your history, and is going to take care of you.
I'll tell you one thing that down here is so wonderful to me is the patient portal.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I think that's great.
And and I'm glad you mentioned that, because we're all learning new things on the computer, and I learn something new all the time. My kids tell me, Dad, you need to get with the times. But the computer is a big part of what we use in healthcare. And, I think if you think about it, before the doctor would write by hand, and I will tell you the doctors sometimes don't have the best handwriting. But if you think about it, being in the computer, we can transfer that information so many different places. We don't have to rely on paper being moved somewhere. We're totally digital in our imaging department, which means that when you have that x-ray or that ultrasound or that MRI or CT, it's digital, which means we can shoot it to a specialist anywhere that specialist needs to see it. We can make sure that the radiologist that reads that may have the specialty that's required that give us the best diagnostic read on that image. So it makes us a much more vibrant and able to tap into so much more talent and expertise if we have patients that need that, and they don't have to leave town to get it. So, and to the portal, we're trying to every day make advancements, and you're now going to be able to go onto the portal and be able to get prescriptions refilled. You're going to be able to hopefully be able to get questions answered or appointments made. And so you can go to the portal and you have an ongoing record of your lab work or your imaging study or your prescriptions. It's all right there. So we really encourage people to use the portal because it's a great way to keep track of their own information, and we're going to continue to find ways to make it easier to navigate through the system and get what you need.
It's like, I have, about every 6 months, I end up with a blood test, and they're just trying to find something wrong with me. And, but within 48 hours, it's there on my portal.
Yeah.
I can look at it myself.
Yep. And, actually we're looking to work with not only the medical staff, but to get results out quicker. And, the doctors, because they know so much about their patients, they like to get that report first. They like to see it, so they want to be able to explain what they see in the report. We could put it out there quicker, but sometimes just looking at a report doesn't tell the story. And sometimes it raises more questions, and rather than have somebody really anxious, we really want that doctor to know what's going on so that they can, be proactive with those results. But I think there'll be a day where the results will be coming much more quicker, and I think that's part of an initiative nationwide that the patient as a consumer takes more control of their health care, and it becomes an important part of just flow of information.
Oh, I have to praise the hospital, really give them a lot of praise for the fact that from the time that I had my stroke, they found me across the street from the hospital, and from the time that I was admitted in the ER and the time they got me up to St. Louis, I think was less than 30 minutes, and I had a stroke.
Yeah.
And I mean to tell you, it was 30 minutes, it was short. It was just like wham bam, and it was just in and out. And I mean, I really, I think they did a good job. And I think because of the excellent job they did,
thank you
that
for
I
sharing
didn't
that.
have as much wrong with me. I mean, it stopped it from progressing much worse than it could be a lot worse than what it is.
Yeah. We just received our stroke certification survey. We just got the results back, glowing results on our stroke program. We've seen all the times that are critical. It's part of a time-critical diagnosis that we work with stroke and STEMI. And on the stroke part, we've been working really well with the ambulance district, and kudos to them, and to ARAVAC. When we have a patient that comes in with a stroke and we call a code stroke, it puts into place all the emergency support for that patient. In other words, we monitor how quickly do we get that CT scan done or that EKG from the time somebody hits the door until we get the results and get that done, because that leads to that CT scan going to a neurologist. So while we're doing those type of things, AirEvac is on its way, the helicopter. The ambulance is on its way if they didn't bring the patient in. So both of them are sitting here, and depending on the severity or the needs of that patient, they may go out by helicopter or they may go by ground, but they're both waiting so that when we've done everything quickly and we've gotten everything going so that the receiving hospital gets all that information, we're not waiting for the ambulance to get there or the helicopter to get there. They're waiting there. And like a
sheet of papers to play around with, it's just straight out.
and with the, now with
It was
electronic
quick.
medical record and the digital imaging,
Right.
they don't have to wait for that film to be brought over or the paper
Yeah,
chart.
yeah.
It's sent, it's gone.
Oh, no.
So
I know my family was amazed at how fast they had me up in St. Louis.
And the stroke team that came in to evaluate us really gave us extremely high marks. And normally when you get one of these inspections, they say, well, you did this, you need to write a plan on how you're going to correct this. They said no plan required, you're doing what you should be doing. And kudos to Laura Bailey and our just so many different departments that feed into it. And like I said, the ambulance district, excuse me, and AirEvac for helping us be a top-notch center to handle strokes in our
It
community.
was great. Everybody in the family was just amazed at how fast I was up.
Well, I haven't had to go into the hospital or haven't had a big emergency, but I've had some treatments and stuff there, and I just love them. I just stay there.
I do too.
We have some very compassionate people.
Oh,
I think
yes,
for sure.
That's really what healthcare is all about, and that's why I think healthcare is delivered so much better locally. And we see a lot of patients. I mean, we do see a lot of people that come through our doors every day, every year, and the goal is always to make be the best thing that ever happened to somebody with each patient that comes through, and that's our goal. That's what we want to be. We want people to feel that you're not a number. You're a name. You're somebody's mother, father, child, grandparent.
And they don't forget you.
I know it
Yeah.
was wonderful because it was quick. I was there, nothing flat.
And I think too, when I talk to doctors that do come and have a chance to work with some of our people, I think they're our best recruiting tool. Because doctors like to work with people that know what they're doing, but also have a personality to go with it. Have the ability to
Yes.
connect with people, and I think staff help doctors look good.
Yes.
Think.
So,
Yeah.
but being 50 years, it'll be interesting to see what healthcare will look like in 50 years. And I think what we're trying to do with the hospital and the new expansion is really to allow the hospital to be ready for the next 50 years. I hear good things about some building that's going on in this community. I was in a meeting this morning. They talked about there's 20 new homes being built now in St. John, and I guess in the area, and that's always good to. And we know at the
Maybe
hospital.
our population will hit 5,000. Maybe one of these days. It's always right under there.
I hear, we were talking a little bit about retirements, and we're still going to need to replace people that retire, and I'm thinking a lot of the people that work for us are going to want to move out of this community. So we're going to need to find places for these people to work and live. And I guess I said live because we've got a place for them to work. But it'll be, it's hopefully we're doing our part to make St. Genevieve a great place to live and
I think so.
a place that people would be proud of.
I have a very leading question.
Oh, boy.
This job gets done, what are you up to? What's next? Or do you have an idea?
That's a good question, and, I look at, like I was talking through, it seems like every year I've been doing something, some sort of building project, or had something going on. Like I said, the emergency department, the private rooms, we did the surgery expansion. I look back, we took Apple Kids down to just the floor truss and rebuilt it. We remodeled the specialty clinic. We did the plaza clinic. We've just about changed. We've had so many interior projects we've done at the hospital, moving departments to make it easier for patients to get into. So what is next? It's
Anxiously waiting.
it'll be interesting to see. I'm anxiously, it'll be interesting to see what's
next, yeah.
But, I think this really was something that when we built the emergency department, like I said, that long hallway that's on the back side of the emergency department really was built for this purpose. But because we felt we needed to do the Bloomsdale, because there was a couple other things we thought we needed to do first, that this would be something that we wanted to wait and get those things done so that we were well positioned, that this was the right time now to start this project. And so I can't wait till it gets here. I mean, I'm waiting for that day when they kind of bust through the wall and you can actually walk in there. And I look forward to that day where we can walk into this new building and clinic, and it really be kind of the realization of a dream.
You should have a regular deal, have people lined up with their little hard hats, and you or someone else, take the hammer and hit the wall,
I may throw that out there.
Show them how you're going, how much progress is being made.
I think I've watched enough HGTV that I think I could do a fixer-upper kind of thing.
Fixer-upper.
But no, I've been very blessed to, like I said, work with a great board, work with some outstanding physicians and staff, and it's really what happens every day that has allowed us to take on these projects, and which makes, like I said, the hospital stronger, newer facilities, and being able to keep up with times is important, because we'll have doctors retiring and we'll need to attract new doctors, and they want to come into places that have good working culture, as well as the equipment and the facilities to support that. So they all play kind of a role together.
Can you think of anything? He's pretty well covered it. He's done real well.
Yeah.
You do a good job.
Well, thank you. Well, you guys are so easy to talk to.
We just like to
It's like talking to friends,
We have
I hope so.
we have a couple years' experience.
Yeah.
Sitting here and
Yeah.
listening.
I hope we're friends.
Making people
Absolutely.
feel at ease, hopefully,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, it's our pleasure to be here, and I know as beyond just building, it may be down the road that we can, in some of your programs, have some of our staff come and talk to you about specific
we'd love to.
programs.
That would be
We
great.
would love
So,
to.
Yes, just give Iris a call and
because there's a lot of things that happen, in that building, and things that we're doing in the community, some of the new programs that we have, I think are always good to share, and
Oh,
yes,
yes,
the
definitely.
more we can talk about it and just kind of educate people,
Oh,
that they
that
can
would
get
be
those things
wonderful.
done
That'd be
here.
great.
That's good.
That'd be wonderful.
we're always looking for someone with something interesting in that way. Yes,
Very good.
yeah.
Yeah, we We have pretty interesting guests on here.
Yeah, once in a while.
Yeah. Yeah, most of them are very informative. Let people know what's going on.
Yes.
And I guess that's what we're really all about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I know that when we met there at Mary Ann's retirement, I had said we were so glad to have you. You said you'd be glad to come on again. So it took me a little while to get, I wish I'd have called him the night everybody forgot. But I told Iris, I said, Mr. Kime would like to come back.
Absolutely.
And we're very happy about it. You did
Thank
it,
you.
have done,
Yeah.
you've been, I mean, you really cleared up a lot of things and answered
do
a lot
that.
of questions before they were asked.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
You shouldn't have shared your notes with me ahead of time. No, I don't think that.
There they are.
A big blank.
Yeah.
You get invited here and you just talk and say what you want to say. And then we butt in every once in a while.
Yeah.
Well, it's a conversation. and
Right.
it's-
That's what our
Exactly.
program
Exactly.
Yeah.
is, it's a conversation. It's a kind of a fireside
Okay.
chat.
Yeah,
I just
fireside
wanted to let
chat,
you
yeah.
know that I was really pleased with the service that I got.
I
We're
appreciate
pleased
that.
we have
And the
her
family
back.
was,
Yeah.
was just tickled.
Yeah.
So I'm happy.
Uh-huh.
Wonderful.
I live over close to the hospital, and I hear the helicopter, coming and going. I figure,
Yeah.
wonder where they're going now.
Well, and sometimes like I said, sometimes there's nothing, they just come for backup. Sometimes they are. So not every time
They
a
come in,
helicopter
yeah.
comes in, with the stroke, they're coming, but they tell me that with the Aerovac, they have to do so many what they call lifts.
Yes.
So their team and their equipment stays in.
Yes.
And I think it's like, I want to say 2 a day or something like that. So, they said, if you call the stroke, we'll be there, and that, help, regardless of whether they take the patient or not.
Right.
So,
They were very nice.
Yeah,
Very
that
good,
team is-
very,
They're good people. too.
And we have some really good services for a small town.
Oh, yes.
And the sports complex out at Bloomsdale is great.
yeah, I mean,
That's a blessing for that town. And I really like the pool out there
I
to
mean, all that,
walk in. It's not chlorine.
the community pool here and the community center and the Bloomsdale Community Center and,
Right.
just, I have more grandkids now, but I have a granddaughter well, I guess she'll be just 21 months, coming up on 21 months. And we took her to the water park. She had a ball, and they were from Illinois, and she just loved it. And it's so I mean, she's 21 months, and
Uh-huh.
being able to be in that water park and having fun and watching her, and to see all the other kids, and even some of us older kids having a good time.
I wouldn't mind, yeah.
But what a great addition to the
So
community.
did you go down the slide?
I didn't do that yet.
With
but
the
I,
inner tube or something?
She would allow me to let her go down the slide. If she would have said, you need to go down the slide, I probably would have. But since she didn't ask, I didn't.
you didn't volunteer.
I didn't
did you?
volunteer. But I think it's probably in the future.
Probably
as
so,
she,
yeah. Those things are so much fun.
I haven't-
When our kids were little, I think it was in Kentucky. There was a place down there many, many years ago, that would have been like in the 70s, and they had a real long slide. And the kids, of course, they wanted to go down that.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of fun, yeah.
But it's a great community to live in, and we're glad to do our part. And
It is a
Just happy
great
to be part of it.
community.
I know that,
We have a lot of people from St. Louis that move down here and other
Yes.
parts
yeah,
because they visit and they like the
Yeah.
atmosphere
that
and,
is-
and come a couple of times and they, this is a good place to live.
yeah. Where else can you get
Yeah.
liver dumplings?
Yes. It's one of the
Yeah.
best things in St. John.
You didn't even know about them before you came to St. John. I didn't, when I first
My
came.
grandmother made what she called liver, which were entirely different than these. Hers was a pot of chicken gizzards and livers all cooked up and drop dumplings in them, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the treats of St. Genevieve. You either love them or hate them.
Yeah, they are an acquired taste, yeah.
Yeah.
They are. As long as you got good gravy.
Yeah, that's
and-
important.
And the recipe is, well, on the spicy side and good.
Oh.
Then they're
Try
good.
that.
Yeah.
I've tried several different kinds and I'm still trying.
Yeah.
That's not your favorite meal or dish or whatever?
No,
Nope.
but if I have lots of gravy on them, I can eat anything. Oh, it's my favorite.
Smother 'em.
I love them mixed with mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
Oh, they're so good.
I'll try it.
Yeah, mix
Yeah.
them with your mashed taters.
There you go.
Yeah, they're good.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah. I like them plain too with gravy, but they're good with the potatoes also.
I think there's some
Pull 'em together.
long-time family recipes that have been handed down.
Many.
As I understand it, so.
Many of them.
The
There are some
recipe that I
variations.
have is the one that Valley used for their, I think it was made out, ungodly amount of liver dumplings. And to break that down, but we did. And that's when the elderly ladies, my gosh, I'm talking like 50-something years ago, used to make them. So that recipe's passed down.
And they
Yeah.
sold them.
Yeah. They what?
They sold their liver
Yeah, they
dumplings.
sold.
Oh, they sold the liver dumplings.
Oh, my gosh, yes. I
Oh, yeah.
always ordered a dozen,
Yeah,
dozen quarts every year.
yeah.
That was the standard thing.
Yeah, so,
You just did not go anyplace with that. you know?
Yeah.
Well,
so,
can we think of anything else to ask Mr. Kime or put him on the spot with anything? I
he's a
did-
good CEO, so he's not gonna be
Yeah,
on the
well,
spot.
yeah.
That's a talent.
I kind of
Right.
thought I might nail him with that, what's next, but he kind of got around that one too.
Yeah, I have to do some work on that.
You do have, is St. John, how does that work with Farmington, with the school that they have the nurses come in and?
You know, actually, that's, I'm glad you brought that up because we've actually been a really good training site for a nursing program. And we were talking about this the other day, that we have, we get nursing students, we get radiology students, we get respiratory therapy students, we get nurse practitioner students. We've even had physicians in training because some of the programs require them to do rural outreach. So they come in and spend 6 weeks with us. Get to see a little bit of ER, primary care, med-surg, pediatrics. So we've really been a nice training ground for
Is
those
that through,
programs. Mineral area.
Mineral area.
Mineral area is where we do the nurse with their nursing program. But we've had Southeast
Oh, okay.
students come up. We've even had some management students, health management students come up from Southeast. I'm missing somebody there, but physical therapy, just a whole array. And I know the Mineral Area College president told me that their students love coming to St. John for their training because they're not treated like a second-class citizen. They're treated and they get exposed and learn, a lot when they come here. And I think that's a credit to our physicians and our nurses that,
Right.
he would say, well, they go to some other places and they're told to sit in the corner or go get coffee for the doctor,
Yeah.
which you don't get any training.
You can learn how to
No.
get coffee at home.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I know I have a granddaughter that's in the program. She's in radiology. She's get her training in there, and she just loves it.
Yeah, and we've had a
They've
lot
been
of
so
imaging
good.
students come through. Tammy Meyer does a great job, as does Katie Jo Hogan Miller on the nursing floor. Rita Broomfield, our chief nurse officer. Rita has 53 years in nursing. And
Kathy's not a student now, though, that she's.
No, but I have a granddaughter that's a
Oh,
student.
yeah.
She's
Okay.
over at Mineral and she's in nursing. She's in radiology. She does radiology
Okay,
at the hospital
uh-huh.
now. She graduates next year in May.
But we have, our department directors are very, and you know, it's a good thing for us too, because it allows us to recruit
Mhm.
students.
Mhm.
We get a chance to see how they work. We get a feeling for their attitude, how they fit within the culture. So it's
That's
a,
why I was so disappointed that they couldn't get my granddaughter in for pediatrics,
Mm.
because she really needs that for her, so she can graduate,
Yeah.
graduate with it.
you said she's in nurse practitioner school?
She's studying, yeah.
Yeah.
She's just got a little ways to go yet, yeah.
We-
But she needs that.
Yeah, we
That's one
get
of the
so
things she needs.
inundated because a lot of the hospitals won't take nurse practitioner students. And,
They said there's a waiting list.
yeah, we
at the
have
doctor's
to
office when I
attach them
went there.
to physicians,
Mhm.
and so we can only take so many. And from what I understand, when other places don't, then they start having to call around on their own.
Yes, that's what
And
she's doing.
so
yeah,
we
'cause
are-
She can't find it.
There are just so many we can take.
Right.
But, like I
Yeah,
said,
they
our-
told me they have a waiting list. I went and checked for her, so she could
Yeah.
call them and talk to them. And then Bloomsdale was full, Festus was full, everybody's full.
Yeah, the ones that do.
It's such a shame, she's such a
Yeah,
conscientious person.
well, we just wish
Really a
some of the.
good student, yeah.
We wish some of the doctors in some of the bigger facilities in the city would do more of that,
I
but
wish they would, yeah.
I don't know why, they don't.
I
Some
had never
just
heard
don't.
of a nurse practitioner until I came here.
Really?
I
Um,
came over from the Rolla area.
Okay,
Mhm.
it's,
It's a growing field,
it
really.
is.
Yes.
It's really a good extension because they're matched up with the physician. So a doctor oversees what they do. The doctor has to read so many or overread so many of their charts. But more importantly, they're there for that consultation with their primary care. And in many cases, you know, we see them as a team. So we try to match the right nurse practitioner with the
To the right
doctor. And we've been
doctor.
very successful doing that.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think every one of our physicians has a nurse practitioner working with them.
I
Some
believe
have two,
so.
Dr. Cadiz has two. And actually, I think some of our OB may have two
Mhm.
that are collaborating with them.
Mhm.
So it is a way for them to really be able to provide more access to care, and it's a great business model
I'll be,
for communities that have time where they can see more patients.
I'll be going to Jody with Dr. Cadez
Mhm.
whenever I have to go.
Yeah.
But I've known Jody a long time. So she said, "Come on over, Jean, if you
Yeah.
want to."
Yeah, we're fortunate with really nice doctors here,
Yeah.
most of them.
Yeah.
And they're local. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's some that come in from other areas, have offices, like Dr. Fan, around like that. But still, they come in like they're local, and
Yeah,
you can
they
talk
fit real
to them.
well. When we talk to some of the doctors that do come in, we try to get a good fit, that we want them to kind of support, our mission and work well with our patients and so it's not, we're kind of selective.
Well,
Okay, so we appreciate you coming. And
Oh,
anytime you want to
definitely.
come back, you're sure welcome, or any of your.
you just give us a call, yes, and like you said, with the people you'd like to
Yeah.
come in, like,
Some talk about some of the programs we're doing.
Right,
Yes,
any
yes,
program,
that'd
any
be
kind,
great.
yeah.
Yeah.
you just get on with
That would be
Iris
great,
and
yeah.
Okay.
take it from there.
Well, I thank you for what you do, so
Well, thank
appreciate
you.
this
We
opportunity.
Sit here and
Thank
enjoy.
you very much. yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks again.
All right,
Thank
thanks a
you
lot.
for
Thank you.
coming.
On another note now, we have the racing series still going on. September the 16th is the next one. That'll be a 15 lap and it's at 1:15. And then the 29th is the next one. It's a regular race. So Anyway, can head on up to the park for those two. And then check the tourism website in town and see what else we got that's interesting. Sure, you always find something to do when you come to St. John. So thanks for tuning in tonight, and we appreciate it. So,
Yard
very
sale
much.
this weekend,
oh yes, 61 yard sale.
61 yard sale.
So everybody head
weekend.
up and down the highway. Yeah. And be safe and watch the people that are
Yes.
selling and the people that are walking on the highways when they probably shouldn't be. And anyway, have a great weekend, and we will be back in 2 weeks.
And thank you so much for watching.
Yes, thanks a lot for watching. Yeah.
We enjoy this. Thank you, and good night.